Hello, Professor Toybox here along with Anna, and today I'm continuing the build exercise for my Fantasyland toy box. My goal today is to build the Matterhorn ride, and that's going to go right over here. And so the first thing we're going to do is block in some terrain around this, and we'll begin with this long flat terrain block. We're going to drop this down right inside this corner, just like that. And yep. And then we'll come back and pick up this block here. We're going to put this down and try to line it up if I can with the terrain there. And I can see that's probably not going to work because the terrain doesn't quite line up like that. But that's all right. We'll get it as close as we can. And we're going to drop down 2 of those. And then we'll put down another one of these over here, like this. And that's all we need for the terrain. And then the Matterhorn is going to sit right in here. And that's under the set pieces drawer. It's a pre-built piece. And you'll notice it's kind of taken on the terrain style that I have the rest of the terrain set to. And that's not exactly what I want. So first thing we'll do is go ahead and orient this like this. And that's the way we want it. But again, you'll notice it's got that toy box terrain texture under it. And that's not quite what I want. So I'm going to come back into Spark mode. And we're going to go ahead and set this temporarily. And there's a number of things we could use. We could use the Echo Base theme. And I'll go ahead and apply that. Actually, we'll set that to be the theme as well. And that gives us the snowy base that I'd like. And so now when we come and look at this, you'll see it's snow covered, which is a lot better. We're going to put this in, and I want it with the waterfall facing that way. And we'll drop that in just like that. And then we'll go ahead and put the texture back on this. All right, so there is the Matterhorn. And I like the way that looks. Now, one problem with this is how do you get on the ride? Because this should actually be where you get off down here. And you'll notice, by the way, that the way they implemented this, it's not quite like the real Matterhorn. You're not on a bobsled going down a track. You're on a rail slide. But it would start up here. And so we need some way to get the player up here. And so we're going to come up to the rail slides underneath the gameplay toys, or actually the platforming toys drawer. And I'm going to go to the left, and we'll begin with this straight rail. And we need to give the player a way to get up here. And so that's what I'm building here. So I'm going to build 2 of these, followed by a curve. And you'll notice you got that system performance meter that's going to be causing some trouble. So we'll have to work around that a little bit. And then we'll use this one to get the player closer to ground level. And you'll notice that looks pretty good. Gets the player down there. But I'm going to have to spin this meter over around to a point where we can drop this, because right now it won't let me do that. So one thing we could do is maybe switch to something else. Try to get that meter to go down. It's not going to. All right, well, let's line that up then, and let's go up to a different drawer. And maybe this will get it to drop. There we go. And then we come back up to the drawer and drop it really fast. Nope, that didn't work. It's always a struggle with these meters. So we'll let that drop a little further this time. There we go. Silly thing. Should let you put something down anyway, but it doesn't. Okay, so there, and now of course it's not going to let us put this one down because that meter is pegged. So once again, we'll come in here, try to find something. There we go. Let the meter go down. Then come back up and drop it really quick. Ah, I didn't get that one down quickly. So you got to play this silly little game here with this, which is kind of a pain, but it's about all you can do. So the trick with this that I've found is to try to get off of a piece like this that has a lot of logic built into it, and also orient the camera so that it's not looking at a lot of things. You'll notice I'm facing the camera off to the edge of the toy box, so there's not a lot of buildings, there's not a lot of complex shapes. Let's see, the last piece we need is this steep ramp rail. And one more time, I got to get that meter down so I can drop it. So we'll switch down over here. And there goes the meter. So the ramp rails have a lot of system performance issue with it. So there we go. Now we have this down to the bottom, and that's as far as we can get because the bounding box on that hits the ground. So we'll have to build a little bit of a ramp to get up to that. And so let's go ahead and go back down to the terrain drawer. And we'll drop down a small terrain block. Put that right up next to that, just like that. And you could put a little bit of stairs in here from the blocks drawer. That's what I had done before. But blocks basically take up a little bit more memory than terrain pieces. It's not much, but it's enough in this toy box that it could potentially be an issue. So I'm going to put this little ramp down instead. I've already used this block over by the cafeteria on the opposite side, past the Dumbo ride. So I'm not adding a new block to this build. So there's nothing here that's unusual or going to add memory because it's not a piece I haven't used before. So that gets us there. And then on the next section, we're going to come up to Building Sets Group 4 and go to the right to the Fantasyland pieces. And I'm looking for this little Fantasyland hall. We're going to put this right up here at the base of this ramp. And let me just double check. Yeah, that's exactly where I put it. So we're going to put 2 of these down. This will be kind of the cue to get into the ride. And then for some decoration, we'll put down a little building here on the corner, like that. And another building over here about halfway, like this. Something like that. So that kind of creates a little area of interest there. And we need some roofs on top of these, so can use just about any of these. I think I used this one before. So we'll place that one down like that. And we'll place this one down like this. Okay. And then we need to create the queue that leads into this. And what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to break up some of this brick texture here by using some blocks. And this uses up a little bit of memory, but I really like how this looks, so we're going to use this. And I'm going to drop the first one down right up here next to those buildings, just like that. And then we'll go ahead and style it. And if we go to the left, we don't have to go too far before we find the Sleeping Beauty ones. And I'm going to use the flower bed. I'll set that to be the theme. And then we'll go ahead and put down a bunch of these, like that. And if we go any further, that's going to kind of stick out away from the edge of that building. So we're only going to put down 4. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Like that. That kind of creates a nice little walkway with some greenery there. Okay, so now we want to put down, let's see, let's start with these plants here. And I'm going to go to Fantasy Terrain Corner 1. And we're going to set this up like this. So I'm going to line the edge of it up with the greenery, and that edge with the front edge of the Matterhorn. I'm going to place that down. And I'm going to go ahead and style this once again to use the corner with street lamps. I'll set that to be my theme. We'll do the same thing over here, like that. And you'll notice there's some greenery that's missing there. I had stuck a couple of little blocks under here, but I think actually to save a little bit of memory, let's go ahead and just move that back, and we'll adjust the scenery here a little bit accordingly. So I'm kind of editing this on the fly, but it'll save a little memory if I don't have to put down a row of the small blocks in there. It's bad enough that I'm using these because blocks take up a lot of memory, and we're going to be using a lot of blocks on the carousel when we get there. But there we go. That provides the entrance for this. And then let's go back up to Building Sets Group 4. And if we go to the right, we have this Fantasyland platform. And we're going to put this down right here. I'm going to put 2 of them down. And then we'll put a roof on top of that. That kind of creates a nice little entrance for the ride. So I like how that looks. All right. And the next thing we'll do is go ahead and put down some trees, because that's looking pretty barren. So let's go back down to the plants drawer. And we'll begin with these Fantasy Terrain strips. And I'm going to put down 2 of these like this, and 1 around the corner like that. And that'll kind of provide a nice little front for the Matterhorn, so it's not quite so stark. And then, let's see, we'll use this piece, back in this little corner. And let me find my shot to make sure I put this in the right spot, because everything kind of lines up with this. I believe it actually goes like that, but I want to find my picture here. No, I take that back. It goes just like that. Okay. And then we'll put another strip down here, and we're just kind of adding a border now for when you come off the ride. It'll kind of guide you out from here, back out to the entrance. And then we'll put a couple of these along here. This one we'll put like that. And we'll put another one here, like that. We'll put 1 in here. This time we'll rotate it a little bit. for this one, we'll put the flowers facing that way. And another one here, kind of the same way. And this one we'll put out here in the middle with the flowers going that way. And I think I have it on the seam. Oh, next to the seam. There we go. And then this one we're going to place down like this. And I don't really want to put it out here because then the next one sits here and that doesn't help create much of a walkway. And so there's a couple of ways you could do it. You could do it like this, or you could flip it around and put it like that and make a nice straight walkway. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and straddle it just to kind of make that seam not quite so stark. So I like that. And this one actually, let me delete that because this actually should have been the one next to it. Sorry about that. It's kind of hard to see them when you're not styling them as you're putting them down. Okay, and then we'll put one over here on this corner like this. And another one out here. We'll put it right on the edge here, like that. Okay. And again, I'll style these shortly. This one's going to sit here about even with this little terrain block. And I want to place it with that little purple flower facing that way. We're going to do that on both sides. And then we'll come back to this one. And we'll come over here and line this up with the corner of that cliff, like that. And rotate it like that. And then rotate it back. And the next one we'll put down here right on the terrain seam, just like that. And that helps kind of fill in this empty space back here. And then around the perimeter, let's start over on this end. And we're going to put this down like that. And these are going to be the Sleeping Beauty trees when we're done. I want to line this up on that terrain seam, kind of straddling that like that. And then the next one will sit back over here off the corner of this, right on the edge of the terrain like that. Yep. And then we'll put one of these out here on the edge of this, hanging off like that. And the fact that it hangs off is okay. Players are probably not going to wander back there. And if they do, they just get a peek behind the curtain, is all. This one will line up with this building. And I got that little sprig there on the lower right corner. But I don't want to put that right up against the building. We're going to put it just hanging on the edge of the terrain block like that. And then the next one will sit in here, and we're going to rotate that 180 degrees. And we'll line this up, that's about right there, and on the edge of the terrain. And then this one will sit in here like this, on the edge of the terrain there. Yep. And then this one is going to sit right there. And again, we'll rotate it that way. This one will just be on the edge of the terrain this way, facing like that. And then one more of these corner pieces on the edge here, just barely sticking off the edge of the terrain there. And then we need a little something over here by way of a barrier. So we'll put this one down like that. Okay, so now we can go ahead and style these. So we'll start over here, and I'm going to use the Tangled Terrain Strip 2. We'll apply that. Same with this one. Same with that one. That just, like you said, puts a nice, like I said, puts a nice line of trees in front of that Matterhorn to cover it up just a little bit. And we'll cover up that one like that. Okay. And then these two here, we'll again use the Tangled Terrain Strip. But this puts in a nice little fence, and this is why I straddled the line. It's because the fence lines up with that seam. So like that. And then these little trees will also use the Tangled theme. And all of these little trees are going to use the same theme. So we'll go ahead and just style all of these while we're right here. And I could just have done this offline, but kind of nice to see how it looks as you're doing it and how it kind of changes the appearance. Alright, and then this corner here will also use the Tangled theme. So that's the trees in and around the Matterhorn. Now the ones on the perimeter, we're going to use the Sleeping Beauty theme. And that's because these create a really nice, huge barrier that just helps put a nice background behind our setting here that we've established. It kind of hides out the sky. Originally I had some castle walls along here, but I just like the natural look of this better. This one will use Sleeping Beauty as well. And I like the height on those, that's why I'm using that one. So when you're on this ride, you've got those nice tall trees as you're going up the rail. And then all of these trees here will also use the Sleeping Beauty theme, the Briar Ridge theme. And by rotating them again, you'll notice they're not all facing the same way, so it kind of looks like a different tree. As you're looking at it from one direction, all these trees look different. There we are. So I really like the way that looks. Okay, so let's see how we're doing on memory. Yeah, we're starting to get up there. We're about 3/4 full. So there's still a few things left that I need to build. But memory's starting to get full, so I'm going to need some extra memory in order to build all the rides, especially King Arthur's Carousel. But that's a complicated ride to build, so we're going to probably do that last. We'll start with some of the simpler rides, but for right now, we'll just stop the build exercise here and we'll put the Small World and the last finishing touches on at the end. Before I sign off, though, we've built this whole complete ride, so let's go ahead and ride it. So as we come back here and we get into the queue, go up the ramp. We can hop on the slide and away we go. And again, it's not like the real Matterhorn because we're not on bobsleds going down a track, but still pretty fun. I like that. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and put a pause on the build exercise. And next time we'll start with what's probably the simplest ride to make, and that is the Storybook Land Canal Boats. And we'll work our way up to some of the more complicated rides as we go along. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed my video today, or at least found it helpful to get some ideas for your own toy boxes. If you want to subscribe to my channel, just click my photo in the lower right corner, and then you'll never miss an episode. Also, be sure to check out my blog or my playlists for other toy boxes that I've designed if you're looking for more ideas of things to build in your own toy box. That's all for me today. Take care.